So check it out, this is the brand new DJI Flip. So is this any good, and where does this sit in between the Mini 4 Pro, the DJI Neo, and the Mini 4K? So the Flip has a 1/1.3-inch CMOS sensor with a fixed aperture of f1.7 equivalent to a 24mm lens. We also have photo options like panorama, single shots, exposure brackets, burst, and also timed shots. As for video mode, we have normal videos at 4K HDR up to 60 FPS and vertical videos at 2.7K up to 30 FPS. And we also have 4K 100 FPS slow motion, which is crazy. And also two color profiles. We have normal, and we also have D-Log M 10 bits, including dual native ISO at 100 and 400. However, the 4K 100 FPS slow motion on the Flip is only available when you use a dedicated RC remote controller like the RC2 or the RC-N3 controller, which I will come to in a sec. Now, when it comes to features, we also have the same quick shots as we have on the DJI Neo, and of course the Mini 4 Pro here, along with the master shots. We have cruise control, follow mode, direction track, spotlight. We also have a point of interest, as well as a front-facing avoidance system here, or a 3D infrared sensing system, which adds that extra protection when you're out flying in tight places. But if these specs sounds familiar, well, it's because it's almost the identical specs of what you find with the Mini 4 Pro. However, this can also be used without a controller, just like the DJI Neo here, which was released a few months ago. And just to put things into perspective, here's a side-by-side tracking shot with the Mini 4 Pro, the DJI Neo, and the new DJI Flip, including the actual sound and noise coming from each of these drones. Now, if this is the first time you're learning about the DJI Flip, I just want to go through what the target audience is and who I think this is for. So the first thing you need to know is that this is a hybrid drone that sits between the Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Neo. So basically somewhat of the same capabilities as you get with the Mini 4 Pro and the versatility that you get from the DJI Neo. So you don't need to connect a remote at all in order to take off and fly, not even your smartphone. You can just take off using any of the built-in flight modes, and then when you're done, you can just land it. But of course, to change the settings, you would need to connect it to something like your phone or a remote. But once you change all the settings, you don't actually need a remote in order to capture those dynamic videos. You can just keep this in your bag or in your pocket, take it out whenever you want to capture a quick video, and then go through the list of different modes by pressing on the button on the side here, which will take you through every single quick shot mode or pre-built flight mode that you have on the Flip.
Rocket, spotlight, direction track, follow.
So what we're going to do is to compare this against the DJI Neo. We're going to do follow. This is going to be shot in the vertical aspect, so 2.7K at 30 FPS on this one, 1080p at 30 FPS on the DJI Neo, and we're also going to throw in the Mini 4 Pro there to just hold the button on the side.
Far, follow, 3, 2, 1.
And it's now follow. And now we're going to test the DJI Neo here. We're going to walk the same path here.
1. Far, direction track, 3, 2, 1.
direction track to stop, you basically just stand still for 3 seconds and the drone will come towards you. It couldn't be easier than this. So this is the difference between the DJI Flip and the Neo, that it doesn't take as long to set up as something like the Mini 4 Pro. It's a lot more convenient to use the DJI Flip and the DJI Neo if you're on the go and if you want to capture a super fast quick shot or a tracking shot. Another advantage with the Flip and the DJI Neo is that it doesn't require a controller, which means that with the Mini 4 Pro now I have to walk around with the RC2 controller, which is required in order to take off and fly with the Mini 4 Pro. We have set this to auto as well, same as the other two, and we're gonna track this in 4K 30 FPS. Same as the DJI Flip and the Neo, this can also do that direction track or track you from the front. So let's see how that does compared to the Flip and the DJI Neo, basically to find out which has the smoothest possible tracking. Just need to get this. Whoop. Let's see if this can track me just from the front now. Now doing an audio test here with the DJI Flip, I'm using the DJI Mini now as my audio source. Also using my iPhone here to monitor how this is tracking, using follow mode now, but mainly this is the audio coming from the DJI Mini. And this is the audio coming from my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and the video is coming from the Flip, still shooting in 4K 30 FPS, and yeah, 10-bit D-Log M color profile, which is just amazing on a drone like this. But how is the audio coming from my iPhone 13 Pro Max versus the DJI Mini? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Another thing when it comes to recording videos with the Flip here is that we now have a built-in micro SD card slot on the side here, so we're not limited to the built-in storage which we were used to with the Neo, which means that whenever your SD card is full, you can just swap over to a different SD card, or you can easily, if you want, transfer the files from the micro SD card over to your smartphone using the quick transfer in the DJI Fly app. Now, the Flip comes in at 249 grams, which puts this in the same weight class as the Mini 4 Pro, the Mini 3, the Mini 3 Pro, and the Mini 4K, which all comes in at 249 grams. As for design, we now have a foldable design here. So the way that this works is that you basically start by taking off the gimbal guard, and once you unfold the arms here, it will automatically turn on. Let's say you do a follow shot, you can just turn around, walk towards the drone and grab it, and the only thing you have to do, because once it lands it will automatically save the video, you can just unfold the arms and it will give you a voice prompt saying that it will shut itself off after 5 seconds.
Aircraft will power off in 5 seconds. Press any button on aircraft to cancel.
Now, when it comes to the different ways of flying the Flip here, we have 4 ways of flying this as of this video. And the first one is to fly the drone itself without any controller, where you just select the flight mode you want, as I mentioned earlier, with the button right here, and just hold that with the drone facing you like this, and it will automatically start that flight mode. The second way to control the Flip is to use your smartphone, and by using your smartphone you will have a little bit more control, and and it will also have full access to the pre-built flight modes, which is sitting inside the flip here. So you can go through the list, access any of these, and you can just press start, and it will automatically start that flight mode, whether you hold the drone and press it on your phone or have the drone stationary on a table, for example. And you can also fly this manually by using the virtual on-screen joysticks to control the drone itself. And on the previous screen here, we also have a full screen mode, which will flip the screen into a horizontal view, which makes it a bit easier to control and to see what you're filming. Now, the flight distance when you're using a smartphone is going to be about the same-ish as the DJI Neo, so you'll be getting about 30 to 50 meters depending on the interferences in the area. But of course, this also opens up for some creative ideas like sideways tracking or reveal shots, where you can just push the virtual joysticks in one direction and walk past the drone. So despite the shorter range you get with your smartphone, you can still pull off some pretty amazing shots. The last two options to fly the flip is by using a dedicated remote controller, either the RC2 or the RCN3 controller, which will unlock the full potential of what the drone has to offer. So with the RC2, we have a built-in screen here with 700 nits, and this basically takes away the whole need of connecting your phone to your remote in order to pilot the drone. Whilst on the RCN3 controller here, you will need to connect your phone to the controller in order to fly the drone. But mainly with a dedicated remote controller, you will be able to reach further distances. You will be able to adjust the sharpness settings and also access the pro camera settings like ISO, shutter speed, and white balance, and also features like master shots and panorama. Now, when it comes to the different settings on the DJI Flip here, when you use your smartphone, we have a settings section here on the bottom right corner. So if you tap on that, we have follow, droney, circle, rocket, spotlight, and custom. So all of these are set except for custom. So if we tap on custom, we have helix, boomerang, and direction track. And here you can also go in and change the max distance of the different quick shots. So if you want the follow shot to be further away and you want it to be at a higher altitude, you just change it to far and high. And the same thing with the rocket, for example, you can change this from 4 meters up to 20 meters, and you can also decide whether or not you want this to rotate as it rises. And if we move over to the others here where it says camera settings, we can change between 1080p 4K and 1080p vertical, 2.7K vertical. And underneath here you can see that we have D-Log M available on the smartphone, flying the DJI Flip without a remote controller, which is huge if you want to color grade your footage. And the videos coming straight out of the quick shots, even though they are in auto mode, looks pretty good in my opinion. Just take a look at these different shots here. Now, when we go back here and over to manual control, and if we now go over to settings and then over to camera settings for manual, you can see that you can fly this with the virtual joysticks on your phone and still capture videos up to 4K 60 FPS now. And in the safety section, we have flight assistance and the obstacle avoidance action now, which basically keeps the drone from crashing in most scenarios. Basically scans whatever is in front of the drone, and then once it's detected, then the drone will either brake or just fly into it, depending on what settings you have. Now, if you want to use voice commands with the DJI Flip, how it works is that you basically turn it on and you have different options here like recording and follow and safety. And to start it, you basically say the command, hey fly, follow.
Follow. 3, 2, 1.
Now, if I want the drone to stop, for example, I can say, hey fly, stop.
Got it.
And if I want the drone to follow me again, I can also say, hey fly,
Here.
follow.
Follow.
Now, as for flight time, we have a stated battery life of 31 minutes, which is about the same-ish as the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3 Pro with the standard batteries. So that would give you an average of 24 to 26 minutes of actual active flight time, give or take the environment you're flying in. The connection also runs off of OcuSync 4.0, so when you're using a dedicated remote like the RC2 controller, you'll be able to fly quite a distance while still keeping a good connection between the drone and the controller. Now, let's talk about image quality, both in daylight and low light. I must say, this guy has performed exceptionally, especially for the price versus the specs, features, and versatility that this guy offers. This standalone drone costs about $439 or 449 euros, and the Fly More combo with 2 extra batteries, a charging hub, the RC2 controller here, and a shoulder bag retails for $779 or 809 euros. So that puts this in between the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3, I will say, but with the added versatility and ease of use that comes from the DJI Neo. Now, when it comes to low light videos and photos, even though this does not have a dedicated low light mode that we see with the DJI Mini 4 Pro, this looks quite impressive if you ask me. So I decided to skip the Mini 4 Pro this time on New Year's Eve just to see how this would perform when capturing the fireworks and how stable it was in the air and how long I was able to stay in the air for this show that lasted 25 minutes. For these shots, I also captured everything in D-Log M10-bit and also used the RC2 controller here and added my own custom Signature LUTs in post, and I also used the manual settings to keep the ISO a little bit down to minimize the overall noise. And I think these shots turn out better than expected, even comparing them to my low light sequence that I captured with the Mini 4 Pro in Hawaii. There is, this guy has some really impressive low light capabilities despite not having a low light feature. And even though these shots are in a completely different scenario, one is here at winter and the other one is in Hawaii with the Mini 4 Pro, it kind of gives you the idea of how the Flip can perform in low light. I also captured some photos in 48 megapixels in the 4x3 aspect in both JPEG and RAW. So if you're the person that loves taking a lot of photos and you're looking for a drone that can capture high quality videos day and I would say night, as well as raw photos and be flown with and without a controller, the DJI Flip might just be the right drone for you. Now, as of battery life and actual battery life and what I was getting when I was capturing these low light videos, I was getting about 22 minutes on this flight before I returned back to the home point. And when I came back, I still had 30% battery life left. So that would say about 25-26 minutes before I would force a land on it just to maintain some battery life left on the or power left on the batteries. So going back to my questions about who I think this is for, I would say anyone with the interest of getting their first drone or a second drone if you need something that can track you without having to carry around a controller. And honestly, the tracking on this, if you just need tracking from the back and from the front, this is way smoother than the Mini 4 Pro if you consider all scenarios and the time it takes to get the shot versus setting up everything. The Flip is also small enough to fit in the pocket on your jacket or hoodie or something similar to that, even though it's bigger than the Mini series. And the advantage here is that you don't necessarily have to use or carry around a remote. So to put things into perspective, you could go out and travel with the Action 5 Pro or the Pocket 3, for example, which both has D-Log M10-bit, and then you could use the Flip here to capture everything from above. I also recommend checking out my dedicated travel videos of these drones right here on the screen, which dives a little bit deeper into all aspects of these drones to help you find the best travel drone for your needs. So until next time, take care and I'll catch you in the next video.